I don't think it's healthy to try to separate at work and at home or with friends. I did it for a long time. You end up playing a role. I'm playing manager at work. I'm playing husband. I'm playing dad. And you're playing these roles. And it becomes very, very hard over time. It's not that I don't disagree with work-life balance. I think it needs to be there, but that goes back to setting those boundaries and knowing what matters and focusing on that. It's not a separation of it ends here and it starts there.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we sit down with executive leaders to explore what leadership really means through the lens of their stories, their wins, their struggles, their vision, and their lessons along the way. I'm Ty Hammond, founder of One Mountain Leadership and creator of the True Leadership Approach, an awareness-based path that helps leaders shift their focus from what to do about their problems to how to grow from them. Whether you're just stepping into leadership or are well-seasoned and at the top of your game, your potential won't be realized following someone else's script, but you can draw insights from their stories and turn it into wisdom by putting it into practice in your own life.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we explore the essence of leadership beyond tactics and performance by sitting down with executives to hear what matters most to them. I'm your host, Jessy James, and today's guest is Chris Kowal. Chris Kowal is Global VP of GTM and Partnerships at Stardock and a commercial architect behind complex multi-billion-dollar transformations. With more than 30 years of experience building go-to-market infrastructure, Chris designs partnership ecosystems, revenue operations, and commercial strategy that convert market position into durable enterprise value. MIT Sloan certified in AI for business strategy, he advises CEOs through EdgeRunner GTM on expansion, capital allocation, and deal execution. Chris has led $100 million plus program portfolios, driven significant revenue acceleration, and contributed to major exits. He serves on Lawrence Technology University AI Industry Advisory Board, shaping innovation and industry collaboration. Chris, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the invite.
Chris, I'm curious, who is someone in your early life or, even an early experience that shaped the kind of leader that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a couple, we'll go through it, but from the time I really want to point to my father and grandfather most formally, right? Because there is something about family culture and how you grow up and where your standards are. And um, my family has been very strong about having a strong foundation and building on an ethical base, right? Always doing the right thing, not being afraid to face the challenges that come up. And I would say when I was young, I was very shy, afraid of everything, right? But that foundation of, hey, it's not an excuse. You got to go through that, right? And the support to know that you can go through it was from the time I was young, right? That was very, very important. But as I got into kind of transitioning to be on my own, there's two real major players. Dr. Jerry Rosenfelder, who is my management professor at Canisius University. And then in my first job, my first manager, Greg Wiesmore. Dr. Rosenfelder is so influential, interesting guy, very accomplished gentleman, beyond academic. But he reinforced the point, not through words, but through interaction and support, that whatever opportunity comes at you, even if it doesn't make sense in the time, take it. Take it and figure it out. There's actually a reason why this is coming to you, right? And that reason will unfold itself. And that was, I can't even explain it now, but I go back, that's 94. It's a long, actually, it's like 92. It's a long time ago. But that simple principle just changed how I went about everything. And then I got into the working world, working for a gentleman named Greg Wiesmore. And I was working an average day of 16 to 18 hours a day, 6 days a week, trying to be the top in my category of my game, right? Just driven, 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 driven. And Greg came to me and said, Chris, your numbers are great. You're doing a great job. Teammates love you. Here's the problem. You're working too hard. This is a 40-hour job. If you can't figure out how to do this job in 40 hours in the next 4 weeks, I'm going to let you go. And even though I was excelling in every category, I was number one in the nation on a numbers basis. And what he taught me was how to focus, figure out how to get through the noise, figure out what needs to be done, and then do that balance. And I needed that. I needed that moment. I call them kind of, getting stopped in your tracks, right? Something that really stops you. But I figured out, and I have this philosophy now because we had in our systems, we had codes for things we had to do, and one of them was O for other, right? And I realized I'm just not going to deal with any of the other stuff until it percolates 3 times. If it comes up a second time, I'll say, okay, I'm going to check on this in a week. If it doesn't come up, I'm just going to get rid of it because either the problem solved itself or it wasn't relevant, right? If it did pop up again the second time, I'd say, okay, now I'll deal with it. That cut
Mm.
out so much noise and allowed me to be super efficient that I could maintain my performance level and do it in that 40 hours. But I needed that moment, right? And throughout my life, I'll tell you, you go about your journey and you don't realize why this thing just hit you and you're like, oh my God, this can be major disruptive, right? It's not. It's meant because somewhere in the universe is telling you you're doing it wrong. Don't look at the
Mm.
numbers, don't look at the results, don't look at, the rankings. Look beyond. You're missing something. And this moment comes and it reshapes you. So I carry that philosophy forward, right? I've been able to accomplish so much because I've been able to identify what's noise and what's not. And it goes right back to that moment.
Love that. I mean, that's those situations and advices has such a ripple effect in your life.
Hmm.
What does true leadership mean to you? What makes a true leader from your perspective?
So a true leadership to me is authenticity. Um, so I'll just say fundamentally, I believe in the universe and that there's a universal power, right? And that our souls live in that and energy flows. And in order to be able to connect with others as a true leader, it's not a method, it's not a process, it's not step one, two, three, and four. I think you have to just let your soul soar, for so to speak, right? You just have to open your soul and let your energy flow in the right place and allow people to connect to that energy. And the right people will. So I think, you think about true leadership. First of all, it's got to be self-discovery. That's where it starts. You've got to look inside. You have to be willing to be vulnerable to accept who you are, the goods, the bads, all of it, right? And allow your energy to flow and allow the people that the universe wants to bring to you, they will come. The opportunities will come. The right ones will come and everybody will rise. And
Mm.
so as a leader, I want to make myself, my true soul, my vulnerability available to everybody, right? And then those that want to come along for the journey, I want to be so friendly and supportive that they feel like they can open their souls too, and they can let their energy inspire the next and bring that forward. And when we do that and we let people be who they are, right? We always want to be clear, want to give people goals and objectives, but we don't want to tell them how to do it because we're all individuals. How we get there is very unique. And so for true leadership, it's about just understanding ourselves first, letting ourselves be vulnerable and accepted for who we are, and then creating the space to let things breathe. The answers will uncover themselves if you just give them a second to arrive. And so that has to be in there. But the leadership is just about being vulnerable yourself so that everybody else feels safe enough to let themselves be vulnerable and go about doing what needs to be done the way they know how to do it, and then letting that success just carry from one to the next. That's really how I look at it.
Chris, can you share about a time when you realized that your way of leading or living no longer met the demands of your work and life, and you really felt like growth was needed?
Well, there's a few. As life would have it, right? It's a journey. Um, so yeah, right. So early career, zooming along, one opportunity after another. I always say I have such a broad and diverse experience to given opportunities because I go back to Dr. Rosenfelder. I never said no. I ended up getting the opportunities everybody else said no to, and then I just figured out how to do them. right? Um, because failure was not an option. So I'll just figure out how to do it, right in there. Um, and I won't lie. There are moments where the burden of always doing that just wears
Mm-hmm.
you down, just wears you down. And you have to just stop and pivot. One point, I just quit working. I just said, I'm done. I'm taking a year off. I just stopped working. Um, just to figure out where I'm going. Another time, I kind of did the same thing. So I will take these pauses intentionally. What's interesting though is when you take that pause, people will come around and be like, why'd you take that pause? What is going on? And I always say, I'm grinding so hard, there's no self-fulfillment in what I'm doing. And because there's no self-fulfillment, the energy is dying and it's harder every single moment, which means what we're trying to accomplish is not going to get accomplished. I have to get recharged. I have to come back at this. I've done this a couple of different ways. I've done it by taking pauses with the support of people around me. I've done that through having life coaches that I talk to, and their role is to hold me accountable so that I don't convince myself of my own garbage, right? Um, I want to be real, so it's like, hey, call me out on this. Like, let's be sure I want a second or third voice on this. And then building the relationships and managing good relationships, and those have to be reciprocal, in my opinion. I think, your relationships that last, and I have thousands, um, but they're the ones that are reciprocal, that be a giver, right? But it has to come back. And there's no demand for it to come back. Either authentically comes back or it doesn't. But those that don't come back, you got to learn to release and let those ones go. And that's a very hard decision, but it kind of flows back to that understanding where the noise is. The ones that are not reciprocal all of a sudden can end up being even a greater pull on you, and you don't realize what's happening. And because you're not getting that reciprocal fulfillment, it starts to pull you away from where your energy really should be. And so, those are a couple of handful of changes, right? One is recognizing where there's not reciprocity and pulling out of that and move myself to where the positive energy is actually at. Holding myself accountable to my authentic self through coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then taking a pause when I need to take a pause. And those are timed and limited and they're very purpose driven. But that's kind of how I go about it.
And I'm curious, what impact has that had on who you are, or how you lead today?
On who I am, it's led to an incredible amount of opportunities that Jesse, I could not map my career. It's not like, oh, you started this job, you became a team leader and then a supervisor and you're a department manager. Like that's not my journey at all. Right. So my journey is a mix of some really interesting experiences, very tough challenges. Um, but the way it's shaped, I mean, what's come from all of that is that I'm gonna go back to the energy thing. What I'm so big on this. Once
Mm.
I can get back to who I am authentically and let my energy, things come. And they just so happen to be the right things. I couldn't have predicted them. I couldn't have pursued them. Um, it's that authenticity, that vulnerability, that commitment to achieving the objective and doing it with others. Um, just it's just brought me so much. It's that joy, and I am laser focused on persistent joy in my life across every single aspect. Um, but as a leader, I want the exact same thing for anybody who's around me. Whether I'm leading as a dad to my 3 children, um, my oldest boy, Nathan, is a wonderful kid. Struggled with the structure of going through school. Got through it. Wouldn't be the poster child for, all the things you want to do, but you know what he's doing? He's 19 years old. He's writing a TV series script. He's working in an industry that he wants to do, writing stories. Who you look at his English page, this kid's not going to be a writer. He's a fantastic writer. He's getting calls. He has opportunities with the major um, streamers, because he found his joy And
Mhm.
my direction to him was, don't worry about sentence structure. Don't worry about capitalization. Don't worry about commas. Forget all that. Let the story inside you just hit the paper. Tell your story. Develop your characters. Don't worry about any of the structure that the education system puts you through. Just tell your story. There's editors for all that other stuff. Just tell your story. And he did. And he's writing some beautiful stories, getting amazing attention, and opportunities are coming. And that's what I think the leadership does, is what I try to do is just help people understand. Let go of the structure that the world around you wants you to stick to and limit you, and just let yourself soar where your love is. And when you do, you'd be shocked. Then we can button it up and polish it to fit whatever society needs. We can do that, right? But you first have to let your soul soar. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, I mean, I bring that, whether it's staff, whether it's my children, whether it's other men, my age group, we're all going through similar things, and we have some pretty authentic conversations that's very private. But being able to be that source that just says it's okay, right? And sometimes you got to look beyond the boundaries that the world wants to put on you, and it's okay. It really is. So that's where I would say it's where it's at.
Chris, thinking about your journey over the past few years, what's been the most valuable investment that you've made in yourself and in your own growth?
Education, education. As you mentioned, I just completed work with MIT Sloan, and I'm 54 years old, and I will continue my education. Because in reality, really, there's only one thing the world can't take from you, and that is your education. Um, and it's so important to just be aware of the pragmatism of what's real and what's not real. There's so much spin out there. There's so many perspectives. How do you know what to believe? And now there's algorithm driven everything. So your bias is automatically reinforced by every single interface we get to, right? So at some point you have to continue to invest in just knowledge and then
Mhm.
use that knowledge to sort through what really matters, but that has to be rooted in your value system too, right? So my investments are all about sticking to my value system, investing in community, investing in people, investing in education, shared learning opportunities, coaching for my own self for accountability. That's where it comes from. All of my investments go into maintaining clarity and authenticity across the whole thing. And the further I get away from any educational base, the more vulnerable I become to all the narratives that are curated for me. And I've been in technology 30 years. I'll tell you, it's 100% curated. So you've got to really be careful. With my children, like I send them stuff all the time. I'm like, hey, I just saw this reel. Is this AI or not? Because they're really good at detecting it, right? And be like, oh yeah, that's actually from a video game. Oh, okay. It looks amazingly real. I don't know. Um, so Jesse, that's it. Like I'm very focused on making sure I maintain my education, um, and investing in the people around me and the community around me to elevate that. Stay above the fray of the noise and stay focused on where our values are.
Chris, what's your vision for your leadership, your legacy, or the impact that you want to have in the years ahead?
I really, I mean, if I could do what Dr. Rosenfelder did for me, for, you know, other kids that are growing up and that are ambitious and have great visions. Um, Dr. Rosenfeld, to give you a little background, started out as an electrical engineer in the 1940s, with Sylvania. And as I mentioned, he told me the story about when something comes to you, you take it. Don't ask questions why. He was asked in the 1950s to take over the procurement department in Sylvania, and he went, "I'm an electrical engineer. Why do you want me to do purchasing?" Um, but he did it, and he ended up being the CEO of AT&T at one point. And the reason they asked him to do that, as he tells the story, is because they wanted him to touch every aspect of the business because they saw leadership in him. They saw that he could be a great leader. He was more than just a great engineer. He was a great leader. And he did that. And that was the purpose of what he's saying, is that sometimes you'll be presented an opportunity and it won't make any sense to you.
Mm.
But what you will not see is why they're giving you that opportunity, because they actually see more inside of you. And so take it and trust that. And that kind of perspective, especially when you're 20 years old, you know, and you're filled with all kinds of things that aren't real yet, right? Um, is super helpful. And he always had confidence in me. Um, he gave me opportunities. I had the opportunity as to be the youngest member of the on the board of directors in the Buffalo Niagara region in the history of the YMCA, and he gave me that opportunity because he felt like um, I could learn something about other community leaders and giving back. And so that's exact. If I could have my legacy be anywhere near his, and it won't be, right? But even close, to be able
Mm.
to be a resource that uh, people that are coming into this and they're ambitious and they have goals but they're looking for a balanced perspective. And I didn't know I was looking for a balanced perspective at the time. I
Mm.
had no idea, right? And when I talk about energy and universe, that's what I'm talking about. I could have been presented a mentor who was very much about numbers and go and politics and network and power and title. And he was like, forget about all of that. Titles mean nothing. Power, you know what power is? Power is empowerment of other people. If your power is to control other people and limit other people and have authority over people, that's not power. Don't do that,
Mm.
right? Real power is lifting people up, finding people who they are, helping them build their confidence in what they do. And that's exactly what he embodied. And if I can do the same thing, then this is a life worth living.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've done it well. And so that's really where I hope to be, and that's how I live every single day, and I hope that just carries through into a legacy.
And here's our final question. Oh, and sorry, before I get to that final question,
Sure.
given what you just shared, where do you feel most tested right now? Like, what challenges are stretching you the most in leadership in life?
So our world's in a complicated place right now. Um, our economy is in a complicated place right now. Fear has never been higher in my lifetime than it's been right now. And what I'm working really hard on is how can we as leaders dispel that fear? You know, you make money by selling fear, and that's all over the place, right? People are losing their jobs at mass scale, and and companies are not reinvesting right now. They're holding off on it because they actually, with artificial intelligence, they don't know where they're going to need to add later. So people are under pressure. People are fearful. They're being told people aren't going to have jobs in 20 years. None of that's true, right? I mean, think about this, right? The reality is the internet came, that changed our world too. But if you want to go to the grocery store and you want to stand in line with a real human being cashier and you want to write a check, you can still do that. It didn't end all that, right? Artificial intelligence is not going to end people's lives. Is it something that's going to be part of our lives? Yeah, whether we want to or not. But you have the option to either embrace it and be part of it, and there's mechanisms to do that, but I don't want people to feel the fear of that. So as a leader, the biggest challenge we have right now is how to just settle things down. Just settle things down. There's too much fear everywhere. There's war in the world. There is debate that's unhealthy. There are economic challenges everywhere. There's societal challenges within families. We don't even know who our roles are anymore and how we're supposed to behave. Um, it's been more difficult than ever on how to do this. And as a leader in the environments that I am part of, my number one mission is always to take the fear out of the equation
Mm-hmm.
and
And
give,
in that pro-
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and Chris, and in that, where are you feeling most tested? What is the challenge that's stretching you the most?
The challenge is meeting the the economics of life and business, particularly business, right? While distilling the fear and give people space. That place has to exist. But because there's so much contraction, there's actually more pressure. There's access to less resources. Money is hard to come by, therefore investment is hard as well, right? So we're constrained on resources. We have more pressures than ever, but the demand for performance stays extremely high. As a leader, then, if you want to create a safe space where people can, do what they do, that cannot be interpreted as, um, hey, take it easy, pace doesn't matter, urgency doesn't matter. It does. And so, as a leader, helping everybody understand that we have to have urgency, we have to achieve the financial and economic objectives. Those are still non-negotiables. Don't want you to feel the pressure. On top of that, it's a shared pressure. It's not an individual pressure, right? But that is in all my time. It's never been more difficult than right now in that
Mm.
particular case. There is just tremendous amount of pressure. That pressure is not only at work. I see it in homes. I see it amongst other men my age uh, who were talking about it. And it's, as a man, it's not something you can openly talk about. Society doesn't accept that, right? But but it's real, right? There's an enormous amount of pressure right now, and dealing with that is one of the biggest challenges. It's heavier than it's been in a long, long time.
So this last question is more of an invitation. You have this time and space to offer to our listeners whatever it is that is most in your mind and heart. Anything at all. Take your time. The floor is yours.
So if I think about, kind of a takeaway, right, from a leadership perspective, is I'm going to go back to authenticity. That, you know, I don't think it's healthy to try to separate at work and at home, right, or with friends. Um, I've done it too. I did it for a long time, right? You end up playing a role. I'm playing manager at work. I'm playing husband. I'm playing dad, and you're playing these roles, and it becomes very, very hard over time. I think it's not that I don't disagree with work-life balance. I think it needs to be there, but that goes back to setting those boundaries and knowing what matters and focusing
Mm.
on that. It's not a separation of it ends here and it starts there. And I think in our relationships, you know, if there's conversations about, oh, well, I can't talk about this at home to my spouse because they don't want to hear about it, you know, that's not healthy either, right? We really need open space. And so the invitation I have for everybody is it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let your soul be out because what that will bring you is that will bring all the right people around you. The stress will go down, the energy will go up, you'll be more physically healthy. Honest to God, it's truth. Talking to a guy that went through some very serious medical issues was related to stress and has transformed his life in so many different ways coming out of that. It is transformative. And the invitation is to take that pause. It's okay to take that pause no matter where you are, whether you got a few bucks in the bank or you don't, right? Take that pause. Because if you don't take that pause, you're going to have strained relationships. You're going to have strained finances. You're going to be strained in a lot of areas, and that's just going to compound over time. When you find that energy, it'll reverse and it'll come back. And I'm saying this not theoretically. I'm saying this because I've lived it. I've been on the door of being told you can't leave the hospital, you're not going to make it this weekend, you need to stay here, to being here and having this opportunity to be here now. And now I live a different life, very different life. And the change, the people, the energy, the opportunity, the impact is exponential. I just taken that opportunity to letting my real self and the real energy emerge.
Chris, I appreciate the wisdom that you've shared here today with all of us. I've gotten so much out of it, and I'm sure that whoever's listening will benefit equally. I love what you said about leadership, that it's about soaring the souls of others. I just love that. I'm going to take that away. So thank you for everything, and for coming on the True Leadership podcast.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate being here and the opportunity. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of the True Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by One Mountain Leadership, where we help leaders grow the capacity, confidence, and presence of true leadership through the True Leadership approach. To learn more about the approach, our offerings, our community, and how we can help you realize your potential in both leadership and in life, visit us at onemountainleadership.com.